Thanks for staying tuned on the newspaper analysis segments of the afternoon show. I have with me Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Yes, I can see that we are much brighter now,
yes.
apparently. So kudos to our viewers who also were concerned about that. But
Exactly.
we're back now. Yes, sure.
Thank you so much. And if you would have noticed, one of the first words that Dr. Emmanuel Egariba used was brighter. We're not just looking brighter physically. Everybody, the staff and management of Providence Television International were still basking in that euphoria of celebration. If you are just joining in, we actually did mention, or rather I actually did mention, that we had a celebration yesterday, and the CEO, chairman of Providence Television International, if every other person is happy, I think you should be imagining how happy he will be. Yesterday, Providence Television International was officially commissioned as a television station. Dr. Emmanuel, just in a few words, how do you feel about this?
Oh, great. I mean, it was a moment of euphoria, meaning that it was able to signpost a new feeling in me, because now it has been formally commissioned by nobody else but the governor himself. Even though he was not here, but he was here with us in spirit. Was ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Communications, a young man, one of the boys that I brought up, as it were, Desmond Agbama, who performed brilliantly on behalf of the governor. He also unveiled the plaque, and the priest, my parish priest at St. Joseph, also blessed it, as it were. So it was a great moment, wonderful speeches, wonderful attendance. And I'm happy that the staff were particularly dedicated, each and every one of the staff. They were on top of the game. So that, I suppose, will now end the period of test transmission. We are going into full bloom very shortly, so we'll have regular programming. And that's good news for our viewers across the world. Only yesterday, though, somebody called me from, guess what, from Japan. Okay, far out in Japan. So I was very glad. So we are going to have clips and things, stories built around the commissioning in some of our subsequent programs. So it was a great outing, very great outing. I was particularly happy. Yes, the people who came, they had plenty to wine and dine with. That also gave me sufficient satisfaction. So that was it. It was a beautiful day. Yeah.
Well, we at Providence Television keep having a wonderful time. It is not as if we are oblivious of the sufferings of the people. Talking about the sufferings of those out there, still as regards Nigeria or officials, when it comes to management, managing their positions well as leaders. Let us look at the story from the Punch newspaper, where it says flights of fancy, governors slammed for wasting 160 billion naira on unviable airports. Rather to that effect, Nasarawa Iyobe. Others beg federal government to take over airports shunned by airlines. Sir, with what we're just seeing here, another 160 billion naira on what we'll tag wasted projects. You've vehemently gone against such wastage, but it just seems to continue. Is it that those who are in charge do not just think of making a change?
I think there's a collusion between, we're talking about the states now, for instance, collusion between state governments and the houses of assembly, because the houses of assembly are supposed to checkmate this expenditure. And I don't see any reason why, for instance, there will be an airport that is not viable in the first instance. Because I mean, by way of statistics, okay? It's like somebody citing an airport at Ibadan, for instance. Ibadan is not a particularly, I mean, look at Ibadan, look at Lagos, okay? So what's the viability level at Ibadan? Or Abeokuta, for instance. I mean, these are places that are very close to Lagos, all right? And you cannot really have scheduled flights between Lagos and some of these places, or even between these places and a few other places, all right? I don't know what has become of that, really, that the government here, Edo State government, was trying to cite one at Auchi. I really don't know. Maybe we'll have to find out what has become of that, because I know that it was coming on board at a particular time, and people were saying that maybe it was for political exigencies. Because otherwise, look at Auchi, look at Abuja, for example. Okay, so it's a whole lot of wastages, and I'm served with benefits of I haven't served in government. I mean, there are so many openings in government that we need to plug. Okay,
Yeah.
this is one of them, and there are others perhaps. So the houses of assembly, as I keep saying that they are not doing their jobs properly, because these things must go through the House of Assembly anyway. So what's their oversight function? Anytime we talk about oversight function, we always refer to the federal government,
yeah.
whereas it's the same principle in the states. Yeah, but you find that most state governors, with due respect, they have pocketed the State House of Assembly, and so anything they just rubber stamp, and that's it. If we had House of Assembly legislatures that were up on their beat, no governor would try that. No. And believe it or not, the easiest way, in fact, one of the easiest ways for any governor to dip his hand to the public till is through things like this, road construction and that sort of thing. Because you can always, I mean, look at road construction, for example. You can always come back to the governor, the contractor now. You can always come back to the governor. Oh, cement has gone up and all of that. And then you reevaluate the process. So it is something of it's a problem. Okay. It's a problem. I don't want to use any harsh word, but it's a very big problem we have in this country, that we'll continue to have projects that cannot stand the test of time. Because you must do feasibility studies. And feasibility studies mean you must look at the totality of the workability of some of these projects. If they are not going to work, then you stop them.
Okay.
All right? So that our governors must learn to do that. Our houses of assembly must also learn to put the governors in check. All right? So that's the position.
Well, we still remain the game changer when it comes to TV broadcasts. Just about a week ago, if you remember very well, we discussed as regards the government, if government wants to make things work, if any leader wants to make things work actually, that such things like insecurity, electricity, there should be stable financial conditions, and then power most especially. We hammered on that. And then the Business Times is coming out just a week after, citing exactly the same things that we listed. Let us go to the front page of the Business Times. The Business Times, on the front page, IMF hinges Nigeria's 3.1% economic growth outlook on stronger reforms, lists insecurity, tight financial conditions, multiple taxes, insufficient power as constraints to businesses. We'll move straight to the Nigerian News Direct, because these two stories are tied. That's why we're going to move straight to the Nigerian News Direct. Federal government must implement stronger reforms to record economic growth. This is coming from the IMF. Sir, there are some individuals out there who have asked this question. The IMF, are they actually a friend or foe? Going, like if we remember in the past, when there was this structural adjustment program that came as a result of a loan taken by one military government. What is your take as regards the IMF?
The first question is the IMF a friend or a foe?
Yes.
And obviously, it is more of a foe than a friend. Why? Because if you go through the antecedents, do they really want developing countries to grow? I'm not even talking of underdeveloped countries. Developing countries like Nigeria, do they want countries like Nigeria to grow? Right. Because you have, I mean, they make you go into all kinds of agreements. And then they saddle you with the responsibilities of having to do a few things which you shouldn't have done under normal circumstances. Remember the structural adjustment program during the Babangida era? That was the beginning of our woes, okay? They can entice you with all sorts of things, but usually they create a debt trap for you. And you find it difficult to pay back. And I think most of our countries in Africa have fallen into this debt trap, right? Obasanjo, for instance, was almost going to fall into it, but he asked for pardon, and he was given. Remember what he did in those days, and we're happier for it. But again, they're asking Nigeria now to go into reforms. And the question is, what kind of reforms? Is the government willing to even do reforms to start with? Because if you do reforms, according to IMF, you run into trouble. So you must do reforms without the conclave of IMF, outside the conclave of IMF. And that's what a lot of Francophone countries are doing right now. You must stop certain things. I mean, for instance, IMF will ask you to devalue your currency. They will do that so that you can weaken your currency and they have a stranglehold on your economy. They are not happy if developing countries are coming up strong, all right, because that challenges them, all right. So they are not particularly happy, but they can entrap you. They can create all kinds of trouble for you, economic problems, and then to wriggle out of it becomes an issue, right? Because look at now, but part of the problem we have is you have to meet up certain demands. That you must devalue your currency, you must float your currency, as it were. Then the issue of subsidy. But the issue about subsidy is, what have we used the money from subsidy for?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
If we use it truly as we designed, then we shouldn't have any problem. People are buying fuel now close to 1,000 naira a liter. Okay. The naira is still being floated. Very soon it will hit about 2,000 naira a dollar. And the IMF will be the happier for it. Yeah, to the detriment of the Nigerian people. So it is better to cut them off and go your own way.
Okay.
Yes, that's what economists have said. I mean, time and time again, they've said that. Cut them off because they want to have a stranglehold on your economy so they can control you. They can control even the government that they want to come into power. Yeah, because if they don't do that, then they lose their grip on you, and that begins to create all kinds of strictures on governance.
And with that statement, we would take this minute break for our words on Mabu, and immediately after that, we'll go to an interview segment talking about leadership and political stability. Don't go away, please stay tuned.